So Ancient just got put into the competitive map pool and everyone is trying to learn it. Luckily for you, we're here to help. What's up ProGuides fam, I'm Boggs and today we'll be talking about Ancient. The map has been out for quite a while now, but Valve has finally decided to truly implement it in the place of Train. No matter whether you're a big fan of it or are already missing Train though, it is probably for the best that you learn how to play it, so hit that sub button and let's get into it. Alright, so to start it off, let's quickly look at the map itself before we discuss how it can best be played. If we do that, then right off the bat, it actually kind of looks like a map that currently is in Valorant in the form of Bind. So much so that even our boy Simple tweeted about it. And to be fair, yeah, it's just from the layout alone, it definitely does look alike. Having played both maps quite a bit though, I can 100% say it definitely does not play the same. Valorant's Bind is very CT-sided, where I would argue Ancient is going to play out the opposite. The reason for that is because even though the maps are very similar in layout, CS does not have Valorant abilities, and the elevations are done differently as well. I would also like to add that a spawn-based start is a completely different animal from the barriers that are in place in Valorant. For example though, let's look at jumping out of hookah. On Bind, it's scary as hell. You're inaccurate, and there's way too many corners to clear all at once. On Ancient though, if anything, it's more scary for the CTs to hold, as there's not a lot of cover on site, and it's very hard to not be exposed to multiple angles at the same time. And where in Valorant, playing inside of hookah is generally pretty pointless, both because you're going to get cleared out of there with abilities, and playing on site is just that much better. Here, I can imagine that playing more pushed up, even with a gun like the XM, could be insanely effective. I suppose Ancient's mid is similar to Bind's in the sense that generally the T should get it for free, and it's rather difficult to fight for, especially if you use the smoke that we'll show you later. But the entire B bomb site and what leads up to it does not feel like Bind whatsoever, so that's probably where the comparisons end. I think by far the biggest difference between the two maps when it comes to bomb sites though, is the amount of cover it provides or lack thereof. In Ancient, the amount of cover you have on the actual bomb sites is extremely minimal, but that does go both ways as the bomb plant zones on both A and B are a lot more pushed up as well, and there's no really good safe plants like there usually are on other maps. Both on A and B, a split or otherwise very pushed up control seems necessary to get the bomb down effectively, as otherwise it's very easy to kill anyone planting, be it through a smoke over on A or even straight through the wall on B. Because of that, I feel like it's going to play out like Vertigo quite a bit, where it's really hard to hold on the bomb sites, and playing retake is very common because of that. Personally, I don't like that for pugs, and I think that a lot of people dislike maps like Vertigo, Trade, and Nuke because of that. But I also think that the only way you're realistically going to defend bomb sites on Ancient is either by getting lots of early information and stacking the correct bomb site, or otherwise making an aggressive play with some of your teammates, as playing on site probably won't be very effective. Another thing that I think will be particularly scary on this map are half buys and even ecos. This map has a lot of spaces where close-range guns like shotguns and pistols are very effective, and as long as you don't hide in the same corner 7 rounds in a row, there should be enough room for creative positioning and surprising angles to catch your opponents off guard. That being said though, that brings us to our question of the day. Today's question being, what do you think of Ancient? Do you love it and maybe even feel like it's going to be the next Mirage, or do you still have your doubts about it? For me personally, I sure as hell don't know if it's going to turn out to a great map, at least not right away. I have some serious doubts about the clipping, and the optimization very clearly needs work, and how it will play is also a big question mark in my mind. But I do think from a design standpoint, it's not that bad, and I'm actually a bit of a fan. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I also wouldn't say I'm against it entirely. So overall, it's a bit of a mix. Time will tell, that's the only way we'll find out. But what do you guys think? Make sure to comment down below as well as why. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go over each part of the map, discuss its quirks, and talk about how to take it. Starting with middle. Like I mentioned previously, middle is pretty easy to take for the Ts. The only two angles where you'll realistically get contestant from at the start of the round are top mid and A short, and smoking off top mid will thus make it incredibly difficult to defend. Sure, someone from A could decide to fight mid alone anyway, but even then, it's fairly predictable, and it's quite literally the only angle that you'll need to worry about. At least if you throw a simple smoke from spawn, that is. To throw that smoke, what you have to do is find the middle pillar supporting the bridge and aim at the end of the second top crack to the left of the door, and from there, just simply jump throw. Since it's a jump throw though, please do note that this lineup only works for 128 tick. So if you're more about matchmaking instead of Face It or ESEA, this lineup is going to be a bit different. To throw it on matchmaking, you come up to the same pillar, but now you look first to the ground to make sure you're aligned with the space between the two bricks on the floor. And then first you aim at the same point as you would have with the 128 tick smoke, but now you aim up until your crosshair reaches the first leaves. Once it's there again, jump throw, and ta-da, you'll have smoked off top mid nicely. Now all you need is a very basic flash that you can easily throw on the fly, and mid will officially be yours. If you're wondering why taking mid is so important, and why we mentioned it first though, perhaps booking a session with one of our expert coaches could really help you out. They'll be able to explain you lots of Counter-Strike theory in much more detail than we could ever hope to do in a video, and you'll be able to get all your questions answered the moment they come up. It truly is the fastest way to learn, and it's something we'd highly recommend. Once you have mid though, you're also able to either get all the way into CT spawn and get on a flank, or you could take A short and chill there. If you do decide to send a person all the way up mid though, do make sure that they're very, very careful. Reason being that, like we mentioned previously, there are many pushed up positions that are very annoying to clear, and there are lots of odd corners that you'll need to be aware of. On the B side of the map, you know, the one we always have to rush, it really does feel like a B site, and it's actually very rushable. Tossing flashes over the wall as you run up is as easy as it is on Mirage B apps or Train Team Main, and it's very, very intuitive. What I personally prefer to do though is to hit the B site with the addition of a smoke molly combo that on its own could already make the site so much easier to take. The molly is able to clear out what is probably the most annoying angle to check, and the smoke denies what is probably the strongest op angle on the entire bomb site. To throw this smoke, you need to align yourself with a pipe which you can find on your left-hand side once you exit spawn through the double doors towards B. Here you first simply find the correct spot on the wooden sign and throw your Molotov to clear the cubby, followed by a smoke which you can throw by aiming slightly above and on the right of this black line on the white box. This quick and easy combo will already do plenty for you, but if you're queuing with somebody, you could ask them to throw another smoke to block off one of the two other potentially problematic angles. To do that, all they have to do is simply get themselves stuck at the exit of the double doors and either aim slightly above the corner of the tallest building or at the same spot just a bit more to the left to smoke the other angle. Both of these smokes might not be as necessary as the one in the combo, but it never hurts if your friend is willing to throw a smoke as well. Either way, if you throw one or multiple of these smokes, especially paired with a Molotov and some flashes, the site take should be pretty easy. As well as the only real spot your opponents will be able to play is on the pillar. And even there, you know it's not too great to hold from. More likely than not though, they'll either give up on site right away or flee into the ruins, at which point you could probably either want to smoke that off as well, like we had shown earlier, or you could do a split / have an alert to deal with that. I personally think that ignoring the player in there might not be the best idea, as again you could easily get spammed planting, and it can be hard to get the bomb down because of that. But even if you do get it down, it does mean it's going to be a pretty easy retake for your opponents, so it's probably best to at least take back that control at some point. Finally, over on A, I think the CT should really prioritize keeping short control if at all possible, as playing on site without it is super vulnerable and incredibly difficult. When it comes to A main, I think it's okay to hold as long as you have a teammate in short. And I also think it's really worth it to play close there with pistols or shotguns in at least some of your CT rounds. When it comes to taking A, getting mid early and being able to split will help you immensely. If you don't, there's only one way to try and flash your way out. And if you do that and throw your flashes through the roof on main, the players on site will only be flashed for a very limited amount of time. But if you throw your flashes from short instead though, not only will your flashes be better, but it also automatically clears out a lot of angles on site, which only makes it easier to take again. The biggest thing you should be worried about though when taking aim is the long op angle all the way from CT to main. This is a very long sightline that really just can't be fought with rifles, let alone pistols. So if you want to not die for free, you're going to have to smoke it off. The best smoke that you can throw for that, because of the fact that an op can't really ignore it and get in front of it, is this one. Simply line yourself up at the back of A main and look at where the leaves change colors. Just left click your smoke from there and it should land nice and completely blocking off the angle of CT. Now the only way you'll have to deal with an op is if he jumps on top of the box and plays there. But if they do that, they could get flashed if you have a teammate short, and besides, it's a thing that's very scary to do with one. If a rifle does jump up there, your A main guys might be in trouble initially. But if that's the case, it should be an easy trade for the teammates coming up from short, and trading 1 for 1 into the bomb site should be something you should take every time on the T side. So to conclude, Ancient is a very interesting map, and regardless of the layout, it does not play like Bind at all. I think it's going to be a great map for people that love shotguns, and perhaps also quite T-sided if the CTs don't play well as a team. I'm definitely curious to see where it goes, and I'll be keeping you guys up to date as well. With that said though, I think we're going to wrap up this video, so if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and remember to ring that notification bell. Comment down below what you think about Ancient, and then we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.